This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated for mature audiences and may contain adult language, adult situations, and frank safety discussions. The names and certain details have been changed to protect the safe and the unsafe, but believe me, every item in here is true. I hope you enjoyed the previous two episodes where we talked about Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. We're going to talk about don't be so quick to fire someone. Try to work with people. Have a backbone, but try to work with people. I managed a whole bunch of companies in the early 2000s in behavior-based safety. I'm really not a big proponent of behavior-based safety in its current incarnation. But this is what happened. You have a construction crew, or it could be environmental remediation contractor. They had to go from no paperwork, or maybe they had like a time card or equipment sheet, and now they had to fill out job hazard analysis. We put together pretty good documents, made programs for transitions, tried to do our best at doing our job like we always do. But we got a lot of cultural pushback. So we'll have this guy called Frank. His name wasn't Frank, but he said, you know what, I'm not doing your freaking paperwork. I'm not doing any of this stuff or anything else. And this was an ongoing argument, for lack of a better word, with him and the rest of the work crew. He was a well-respected leader of his work crew and in the company. I'm not doing it. We're not doing it. The whole thing, 9 yards. Arguing and everything else. So, during one of these arguments that he was having with me, not me with him, I said, Frank, is it because you can't read? All of a sudden, the argument stopped, and he was all, very sheepish. And he said, Jimmy, don't tell anybody, but I'm not that good of a reader or writer. I said, Frank, I'm glad you told me this, because they're getting ready to fire you. I hope you realize that. I suspect you realize that. They want you out of here because you're not doing your paperwork, and it's always a struggle. I wish you would have came to me sooner with this, because I could deal with, I cannot read well, I cannot write well, I can't deal with, and it's extremely difficult to manage, I'm not doing the job. I said, we're going to work with you on this. We made up some sample language. We went out and we started to help him with the checklist, the job hazard analysis. We spent 2 or 3 weeks with him, coaching him, teaching him how to read a little bit more. And Frank kept his job for many, many years afterwards, until, it's construction and he got laid off. Because we were able to influence a leader, what happened was the rest of the workforce said, if Frank could do this, I can do this. And made everybody's life a lot easier on the project. Fast forward to a number of years later, I'm going door to door on a political campaign. I'm running for office. And I get this, hey, I'm going door to door. Hello, I'm Jim Posel. Can you please vote for me? I come up to a house and I see a company truck out there. I said, you know what? I worked with that company before. Maybe I know the person. Knock on the door, and who do you think answers the door? Frank. Frank had 7 children. He had a combined family with 2 previous relationships, and he had his current wife and him had several children. But there were 7 kids in the house. Some of them right in the age group that was born when I worked with Frank. And he says, Jimmy, hugs me. He sits me down at his dining room table and he says, honey, because of this man teaching me how to read and well enough to do my paperwork and everything else, I was able to keep my job and we were able to keep this house. You see, the people from the previous episode, the safety triangle, were the people who wanted to get rid of this guy over this stuff. But we were able to work with them and save a family. Remember, you're not dealing with just a worker. You're not just dealing with a tradesperson. You're dealing with a family. You're employing a family. You're sending a father, a mother, a brother, an uncle home to their family. That's why we're here as safety people, to help lives and improve lives. Not to just fire people. That should be the last thing that you do is fire someone. Work with them. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.